I'm Donald Lim. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer of Udena Corporation and the Chief Operating Officer of Dito CME Holdings. I'm very lucky to be living in an age where people recognize me, they see my chinky eyes, and they know I'm Chinese. But I don't get to feel any discrimination. I think sometimes I also have an advantage. They would have that assumption I'm better in math, I'm better in certain things. I'm more entrepreneurial. I can speak Chinese, I can speak Mandarin also. Now with my job in Dito, for example, when we talk to our Chinese partners, I can speak their language, I can understand them. I'm very happy to really have grown up in an environment where I have a good learning and understanding. I think the Chinese-Filipino culture, especially for those ChiNoys here, very important for you to always recognize where you come from, where your roots are. And because if you know where you come from, you would also know and have a better appreciation of the world. And I suggest that every ChiNoy would take advantage. My first job was with Burger King. I learned the kitchen. I learned to become a marketing person. And then after that, I was taking up my MBA side by side. And then I moved to the Inquirer, and I was head of marketing. So that time, my position was not too bad. And my dad said, after like 4 or 5 years in corporate, he said, don't come back anymore because you're doing well and I cannot afford you. I'm Donald Lim. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer of Udena Corporation and the Chief Operating Officer of Dito CME Holdings. For me, because I'm in the corporate space, I'm very lucky to be living in an age where people recognize me, they see my chinky eyes, and they know I'm Chinese. I don't get to feel any discrimination. I think sometimes I also have an advantage. They would have that assumption I'm better in math, I'm better in certain things. I'm more entrepreneurial. So I think it's very true in many sense because I can speak Chinese, I can speak Mandarin also. Now with my job in Dito, for example, when we talk to our Chinese partners, I can speak their language, I can understand them. I grew up in Divisoria, so it's very normal for me to really grow up in the family business. So it's a very tightly run household. For us, I have 2 younger brothers. We're extremely disciplined. We followed all the rules. Even the time we have to be really sleeping by 9:30, at most 10 p.m. We have to be up by 6 a.m. So things like that. It's a very tightly run by my mom. When you talk about discipline, even, for example, the grades are very important to us. Everything has to be a line of 9 or a perfect score. She would always remind us that because we are not from a rich family, even my dad started his business from 10,000 pesos that he loaned from my uncle, and he was able to grow that business. And he says, and we will be defined by that. We will have to start from scratch. We will work hard, and that's the only way for you to succeed. I cannot even remember in my entire, from pre-nursery all the way to college, I cannot even remember if I had an absent, if I was absent in a class, right? So even when I was in college, so now at work, 20 years working already, I cannot even remember when I really had a leave, which is bad actually. Right, so I think for my entire career, I've never taken a VL or a sick leave. When I was in college, we were in our 3rd year. We were asked to have what we call a minor. So in some cases, major ang tawag, but then in Ateneo it's called minor. What do you want to focus on? And that time it was very obvious because I like numbers. I like that time I like to play the stock market. So I said automatically it's finance. Right? But that time there was another offering marketing. I said, I don't understand what marketing is. I want to avoid it. But my mom was very insistent. was also very good insight from my mom because what she didn't know, actually, she said marketing is all about sales. And then I began to realize that in marketing, when people said, I want to go into marketing, they do not like numbers. But in reality, marketing is all numbers. When I teach my students, I always say, if people ask me what is marketing, I'll say very simple. Marketing is spending money to earn more money. When I graduated from college, it was very tough. It was again the '97 financial crisis. I graduated in '98, so it was at its peak. I thought that time we were told that time that if you graduated from the Ateneo, you will always have a job, which wasn't true. So one CV that I printed, I photocopied 100 times, and I walked around Buendia, Ayala, Ortigas, and I was just shooting my resumes in either the mailbox or I go to the ChiNoy HR. Who's your HR? Can I meet with them? I'll just give them my CV. No? So there were 100 resumes. When I requested that I will meet the HR, no HR met me. So I didn't even know what happened to them. No? After some months, I was able to get an offer from Burger King. No? I said marketing. I would like to take on a marketing role, and the president said no, you can't. You have to start in operations, and you have to understand how the restaurant is being run before you can really do marketing. So my first job is really being a cooking burgers, being a cashier, all around, and understanding the store operations. But that was a very good experience because even up to now, I've always been very adamant that all my marketing people who are now trained under me has to undergo operations experience. You cannot execute, you cannot strategize if you have never been on ground with any of your business. Marketing, as we all know, is all about going down to the trenches and interacting with customers and also understanding how operations work. So I had to do a very different route, which was very good because I really know that I came from a very sheltered family. So when I was in operations, I began to understand also why a crew has to work and then has to go to school and they don't have a job. So that time when I was in Burger King, I decided to take up my MBA already. I was taking up in what we call an offshore program. So it's Murdoch University. It's an Australian school, and they would fly in the teachers here in Makati, so to teach us. I was very lucky to get an Australian education, and at the same time, my seatmate that time was the senior vice president for the Inquirer. We got very close because we would be almost teammates. We were always early for class. And he said, I don't know what will happen to your career. If you want something more stable, why don't you join me here in the Inquirer? My first job was classifieds. So I was selling obituaries. I was selling the job market, recruitment, but it was again very good experience because that time, again, because of my Burger King experience, I immediately went down to my sales team, lahat ng punerarya, all the funeral parlors I visited. But because of the training of on ground and understanding what they need, what they want, what my customers want, I was able to, in one way or form, give them the perfect product that would suit their needs. After my Inquirer stint, I was hired to be the CEO of EAH Corporation. That was my jump into digital. And that time, my bosses were all Chinese stockbrokers. So they're ChiNoy stockbrokers, so extremely good in their craft, but they do not understand the tech side, the digital side of it. We were selling websites, we were selling a lot of digital marketing solutions, but on the other side, I was trying to have a balancing act, really a CEO job at 28 years old, to understand the financials. So I was forced outside of my comfort zone because I was in marketing. Marketing is about the flair, the PowerPoint presentations. And they taught me how to present all Excel naman, right? And why there is that beauty there. It was the early days of digital, and so we were like prophets in the desert. We were preaching everyone should go digital. and no one would. Well, they know that it's important, but they would say, yeah, it's not a priority. And even if you fast forward in 2015, it's still like that. No, I think it was only in 2020 when COVID happened, when everyone was forced to go to digital because they had no choice. So it was very hard. In fact, that's why I created, IMAP, which is the Internet and Mobile Marketing Association. I gathered all the digital players in the industry and said, we have to grow digital in our country. And I was very lucky because I was the one who gathered them. They made me the president. We started the Code of Ethics of Digital Marketing Practice. We want to recognize the best-in-class digital marketing award, so it's called the Boomerang Award. We created the education certified digital marketer education program, among many others, so that we will be able to grow the industry. They call me the father yung mga kabatch ko, pero the younger ones, they call me the grandfather, right? But I always say I'm not digital. I'm not techie. I don't even know how to create a website. I'm a businessman and a marketing person. I would always say that a carpenter should know all the tools, right? Should understand all the tools. When I was trained in marketing, there was no digital. It was TV, radio, print, out-of-home PR, right? All of these traditional methods, and then digital was there. It just so happens that there is this new tool, and I have a good working knowledge of it, and I know when to use it and when not to use it. Social itself is very broad from again the different platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, among many others, right? And at the same time, you also have e-commerce right now, which is now being an anchor platform. Shopee, Lazada, and all other e-commerce websites are now part of the marketing process flow. So it has really exploded, right? And that digital verse is now a world of its own. And really, a marketing professional should know how and when to use it. I always believe that it's always a balance between the theory and what I was taught in school, and also my entrepreneurial mind. I think I would always say that entrepreneurship is part of the blood. If you look at the jobs that I've taken on, these are really more challenging jobs, which means, for example, we're not market leader. We would always be number 3, number 4, number 5, or nothing, and then I would fight my way up. And because of that, I've always seen myself also as a rebel. I would do things very non-traditionally. If I know that, I mean, like any rule book in marketing, right? The number 1 rule of marketing is to be number 1. The number 2 rule of marketing is that if you cannot be number 1, find a category where you can be number 1. And by doing that, I begin to look at opportunities differently. And hopefully these are new opportunities, new paths or avenues that we can create new businesses. Even when I created IMAP, people are saying, you're so noble. You're so noble that you created the industry, and now it has flourished, right? And of course, I said, oh yeah, thank you. But the reality is, it's just actually, I created it because I want DIA to survive, right? I'm selling websites and no one wants to buy. So I now ask the entire industry to help me sell it. I always take on what I call dark horse opportunities. So dark horse meaning people are not expecting you, you're not any of the leaders, you find real opportunities. How will you be able to overtake? Because in reality, if you take the number 1, the number 2, number 3 leaders head on, you will not make it. You can't go against their strength, their defensive systems that are already in play, the people that they have. So you just have to be creative. Regardless of what you do in digital, always make sure that you're part of a bigger system, part of a bigger organization. In the end, you have to be appreciated by the entire organization. You have to drive sales. You have to understand that when you do something in digital marketing, there's an entirety of digital in the entire organizational process, all the way from HR, finance, all of them has to be digitized also. a digital marketing professional should understand that their understanding of digital is not only just for the marketing side, because they can know how to buy social media ads, right? Or how to understand the digital consumer, but they can affect that same thinking with the entire organization. They can create better operational processes, synergies within the organization. So, and I believe, no, a digital marketing person is a digital transformation agent in the organization. Right now, I always say I'm moving out a bit out of my zone already of marketing. I think I'm more operations. I'm more really looking at the leadership roles in organizations. I really appreciated going the corporate route. In fact, if I were to live my life again, it would be the same. The corporate route allowed me access to so many people, so many mentors, and the experience that I learned from my colleagues in the corporate world is very different from if ever I would, for example, stay in Divisoria and run my dad's business. That would be, I would think, a more comfortable world. I would just take on the business. I would do the business day in and day out, and that would be nice. But I think that thirst for challenge and learning really outside my comfort zone. The biggest learning, the biggest advantage is really your network. You get to expand your network tremendously, all the way from government people, all the way to corporate, and then again international individuals, who are also at the top of their game, and you learn from their perspective also. 10 years ago, I was very much blinded by, I need to win this award. Then you begin to realize, after, for example, I won so many awards, in my 30s, and I realized, okay, now what do these awards mean? They're sitting on my shelf, but what do they mean, right? And you realize that again, pardon the cliche, with great powers come great responsibility. I'm not saying I have great powers, but the network and the access I have, I realize I can put that to better use. So I think that maybe, hopefully, what's next is, some people, know very early on what they want in life and their mission and purpose in life, right? For me, I'm not sure, right? I still continue. I try to make sure that wearing my corporate hat, which is still my bread and butter, I will continue to give my best to the company I serve, to the chairman I serve, to the businesses where I have, most of them, not a majority, right? Minorities, I will try to contribute and bring value, and also at the same time learn from them. To the different organizations, social civic organizations and trade organizations I'm connected with. I'm there hopefully to help them effect change, what they're trying to espouse and what they're trying to transform, in their little way, the Philippine ecosystem, right? And then of course in school, hopefully I get to teach my students well so that they become contributors in our society. Right? So sometimes you don't have to have a very clear goal, because sometimes, I would always say life has a way of throwing curveballs to you, and you just take it as it is. What is more important is that day in and day out, you try to give your best in everything that you do, right? You try to give a positive effect to more and more people. You try to uplift their lives in whatever way or form. Right, and hopefully we can have a better country after that. I don't want to over-discipline them. I think the world is also different, but there are certain principles and values that I want them to take on. Like, for example, very fundamental respect for elders. Like when my kids would say, "Why do I have to visit my grandma every Sunday?" I said, "No, because that's my mom, that's my parents. I visit them, you visit them also, right?" And that was also instilled on me when I was younger, when my mom would visit her parents every Sunday also, right? So it's really that. I think respect, know where you came from is very important. I think even the Chinese heritage is very important. So even if they don't like speaking Chinese. We don't speak Chinese at home, to our fault again. We grew up in a family where our parents would always say, you speak to me in Chinese or we don't speak, right? But now it's harder to train. Now the reality is harder to train our kids to speak. So we speak to them in English, but at the same time, we're forcing them to really learn the Chinese language. So there are some extra classes that we're giving them so that they can attend and learn language. So it's a bit different, no? But at the same time, of course, no. Again, the principle of living a humble life. We can buy a lot of things that they want, but we're very choosy what we give. So if they want something, we would always say you have to earn for it. We always tell them to be frugal. So I mean, and I think I'm proud of my kids. No? They don't ask much. So because they know, and I live that kind of a lifestyle, they know also that the happiness in life is not from all the material things. So we teach them how to save. We teach them how to appreciate life by the experiences rather than what they have, no, or what they could buy. So I think I'm kind of happy with that mindset, no, what I have trained them. They're very simple, no. They wear shirts. They don't nag me already for if they want anything. No, they already, I think they're old enough to know the what's the worth of each, and if they don't need it, you don't have to buy it. It's really that mindset. We are not Western. We are more global already in how we perceive the world. So we're a bit more open-minded to a lot of things. I think right now, for me, it's really, for example, like the certain fundamental values and truths, like do not harm any person. I think do not judge. Modern ChiNoy has full appreciation of where he came from, knowing that the Chinese roots and the Chinese blood is so much there that it makes that person special. My dad would always say, you cannot replace 5,000 years of history, and that's in the blood. Your bloodline is so different. And I would say, I don't care. It doesn't matter. 5,000 years or 500 years, it doesn't matter. But he says, it's different, right? The bloodline of a Chinese, because of that history, that rich history, right, gives you a totally different perspective.